It's a Pulitzer Prize-winning photograph that stood the test of time as much as any meaningful monument or landmark.
A moment in Boston's history when communities struggled with each other.
A moment in 1976 when Ted Landsmark found himself caught in the middle of a protest over court-ordered busing. Stanley Foreman, today a WCVB photographer, captured the scene.
I was on my way to a meeting in City Hall to try to increase minority work done on construction projects in the South End. The photo speaks to a time of racial and educational turmoil.
Today, Landsmark speaks to issues of equity as director of the Dukakis Center for Urban and Regional Policy at Northeastern. He's also a voice in the discussion of a name change for Faneuil Hall.
Faneuil Hall was used by Boston's African-American community as a gathering place where abolitionists spoke. And throughout that time, it was known as Faneuil Hall. Personally, I think changing the name would be to whitewash the history that is a shared history of that space. At the same time, I believe that it is an appropriate place for a commemoration or memorial to the enslaved people who were sold throughout Boston, and one wants anyone coming into Boston to know that we recognize the contributions of enslaved people to the growth of the New England culture.
That story has become complicated itself. A proposed memorial was recently withdrawn by the artist after pushback in the community. In 1879, this copy of a Washington, D.C. memorial entitled Emancipation was placed here in Park Square. The work of Charlestown native Thomas Ball, who also sculpted noted abolitionist Charles Sumner in the public garden, Ball's depiction of Lincoln freeing a slave has long been a target of criticism. Harvard professor John Stauffer, author and Civil War expert.
The statue originated with a freedwoman who donated $5 for a statue of Abraham Lincoln, and that rallied African Americans. They raised most of the money. Unfortunately, they didn't have a say what the statue would look like. The statue, and a lot of people have described this, is paternalistic.
Why Boston?
Because Moses Kimball, who was a major promoter, he's in a sense a kind of P.T. Barnum. He wants a version of it in Boston. So even at the time, this statue was seen as, I wouldn't say offensive, but seen as disappointing by African Americans because they recognized that they were central to the war effort. One can look at this statue today at the slave who's kneeling, but you can think of him as springing up. He is ready for action. And Lincoln is holding the Emancipation out to him. So it's a collaborative effort.
Why Park Square? That remains a mystery. Enter the world of Robert Schurer, a contemporary master of monuments and memorials. You've seen his work. The Massachusetts Fallen Firefighters Memorial at the State House, the Korean War Veterans Memorial in Charlestown. His work is in the Washington Monument.
I worked on a new sculpture at the Museum of Science, a tribute to the Washburns, who were founders of the museum, and that they were also world-famous explorers and map makers. What I like to do in a memorial is to speak to the souls of the people who were affected by whatever the event is. It's about the lives and the events of other people, and I'm just the vehicle or the tool that creates it for them. When I did the Fallen Firefighters Memorial, I actually borrowed a couple of guys that were firefighters and I put them in a position with the idea of motion, evoke emotion.
Schur's Skylight Studios in Woburn is itself a monument to memorials. The vast collection of casts and molds come from the former studio of Arcangelo Cassiari and Adio Di Beccari, Schur's mentors from his student days.
Well, it's kind of scary at night, but we have Longfellow, we have some Jesuit saints that I'm working on, we have Michelangelo's David, you know, statues of pieces that are in Europe.
Icons of history still in demand and reproduced as part of this family-run business, an artisan workshop.
It's the way a traditional studio always used to be. It's no different from my two teachers' studio, really. It's a workshop.
You know, the Paul Revere statue in the North End, maybe the most famous in Boston, is not without its own history of controversy, not because of the subject, but because of the artist.
Yeah, it took 5 drafts and 57 years to actually be made. The initially young artist, Cyrus Dallin, he actually was very scrutinized by one of his former teachers. So I think he had a lot of mental, that's my own, trying to get over the hump to make it, create it.
Well, the Boston Common is about to get a monumental makeover.